just talking and talking. So I call my wife. I go home to my wife. And I'm like, hey, do you have my bowl full of lightning bolts ready? And my pyramids covered in sci-fi? Because I'm hungry. And she says shit like, I was taking care of the kid all day. Man, I just came home from the docks, working. My boat was parked in this good parking space, in space, harvesting sea spaghetti, ooze. And I come home and I don't get anything to eat. You're kidding me. You know, because we live in this nice, affordable tornado. And I walk up to the window when it pops. Damn inflatable windows. Then I sit back down and I watch my show. My favorite show is called The Wacky Guy That Yells a Lot. You know that show? My favorite episode is when he forgets his aquarium inside of his boss's wife's house after having a one-night slam dunk. And he goes back, sneaks inside to try to get his aquarium. But he steps on a verbal mime. You know, they're invisible, but you can hear them. And then the family's pet walrus gargoyles burst out of his heart. You know, it's the butterfly effect. Comedy of errors. This is my favorite show, so I'm watching it on the television, the TV. I don't know, television sends, and then I found. Then I think I'm going to go to my favorite restaurant. It's a Christian themed restaurant called the Garden of Eden. The motto is you can have it Yahweh. They ask you, do you want to sit in the New or Old Testament? And I say, it doesn't really matter. And chances are you'll bleed out of the mouth choking on your croissant. But, you know, and it's in a cold area, Alaska. So, you know, when you want to go on your laptop, you got to get on the winternet. And then when I typed into my calculator, where do I gotta go? My calculator grew a beard. Then my face fell off. Turns out every time my calculator grows a beard, my face falls off. So that night I had to give a big speech for my job in front of a bunch of rich people about my new product. It's called inflatable windows. So I hire a professional facial hair shaver to take care of my calculator. And I go to give this speech, but it turns out the guy I hired to shave my calculator, you know, he was throwing a big party. It was like Weekend at Bernie's, but everyone else was dead except for him. He's a necro with attitude. So I'm giving a big speech in front of all these rich people, and my face falls off. Don't ever trust me. Just a skull, a skeleton talking out of bone, birthday, you know. So, next thing that happens is I meet a rich guy, and I'm like, man, this guy's so cool. He has money, and he has, like, stuff that you buy with money. Like, lots of cool shit. Then you go over to his house, and he just has this big table full of money. And he invites girls from OkCupid over, and he's like, here's my table full of money. And they all love his money. And then one girl says, hey, I like your money, but I think you're too fat. So he gets liposuction. And all that came out of it was money. And he bust open because he was a bank for Chase. Then he took off because he was a train. I'm just kidding, he was a bus. Gotcha! You believed it! Well, I'll end soon because time is a thing, man. What if we're all just inside of a frog's memory? A dream. Station. PSP. AM. Copyrighted.com. Maybe? Yin Yang. Fighting a peace symbol in a boxing ring above a biohazard stand. And then it blows up! And you get arrested behind a barcode, Morse code jail. Who's swimming now? No one, because there's no water. We're in the biggest drought since 1990 drought. There's no water. Everyone's just an iron ear because there's no water in our bodies. Am I paranoid or pirananoid? No? It's hilarious when you're in hair camp. And hair camp is run by a giant beehive. And they force everyone in hair camp to give cats the Heimlich maneuver to cough up hairballs to use as wigs for bees inside of the beehive. Obviously. I only wear static, I don't wear clothes. Alright, so I'm gonna, I guess, I'll end on this. Because I feel like I'm a little bit too much of like, well, like that hacky kind of like. So I went to, there was this girl, she's made out of glass, and she lives in a glass sea. And you'll find her. She's over on Alvarado and La Cienega. La Cienega is a racial slur today. It's despicable. Are you kidding me? It's spooktacular. So I saw this girl made out of glass, and I tried to buy this baseball fangs from her. And I walked up, and I'm like, how much is that baseball with fangs? And she says, 14 baseball players' headaches. And I look at my pockets. I'm like, I got 2 tap dancers and a palm tree reader. Deal. Then the baseball flies off. I chase it, and then I find her again on another parallel, like that way. And I push her over, and she shatters shit everywhere. And then the other version of herself creates an effigy of herself made out of shit so she can fuck herself with this glass boner clit inside of this shit version of herself. And guess what? Her glass clit boner got his dick bit off because the baseball fangs was hiding inside of the ass cave of the shit version of herself. You think you know something? You know? It's like, what is it, 1994? How many drawings of a drawing do I need to make to figure this out? So it sounds like my dad laughs. Sounds like a siren, he opens up his mouth. When my mother laughs, she opens up her mouth and that happens. Just a projection of that on the wall. That's one of my mother's laughs right there. Yeah? So my whole family's here.
Yeah. Everybody.